possession.
They all have a criminal mind. You know, and they've got 24 hours a day to beat us.
Drug trafficking.
It is. Black tar heroin.
Even murder.
This is the black hand of the Mexican mafia. This guy can authorize people to be killed.
All from behind the walls of one of the most violent prisons in America. It was designed as a modern-day Alcatraz. Isolated on the remote northern coast, Pelican Bay State Prison was established in 1989 to house all of California's worst criminals in a single facility. Innovative for its time, the creation of Pelican Bay established one of the most dangerous communities in the world. Pelican Bay's 3,000 maximum security residents have 24 hours a day to spend plotting more crime. Imagine a small city populated entirely by criminals, the most devious and dangerous minds in America.
The prison here really is a small city. It's a city populated by felons, and not only convicted felons, but really some of the most serious offenders that the state of California has to offer.
This intense concentration of California's worst has made Pelican Bay one of the world's most difficult communities to police.
Inmates don't stop committing crimes once they become inmates. Homicide, robbery, murder, all of the crimes that are committed on the street can also be committed within the prison.
A city unto itself, Pelican Bay has 800 correctional officers. 10 of them are assigned to an internal police unit called the Security Squad.
Our security squad would be very comparable to the detective unit or the homicide unit of your police force in your local community.
It was cleverly disguised, for sure. They made a few mistakes that make people look at it a little bit closer, and that's why they got caught, okay?
To inmates and officers alike, they are known simply as the Squad.
It would kind of be like a comparison in the military to your regular infantry and your special forces.
Go, 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 go.
The security squad, they have a special mission. They all are there to fight the same war, but they have a special mission.
Known to his team as Hoss, Sergeant Dan Leffelholtz is the leader of Pelican Bay's security squad.
The security squad is actually a police department within the prison. We would respond to all incidents, collect and process evidence, take photographs, complete reports, investigate all crimes within the institution.
On an average of 900 times a year, the squad responds to an incident of violent crime. Officer Steve Robinson has been a member of this elite team for 4 years.
Somebody will yell out, alarm on 8 yard. The squad is an entire unit. You'll see us just busting through the door. A couple of people grab camera bags because if there is a crime that's happening out there, such as another inmate stabbing an inmate, we're going to make sure after that situation is brought under control that we'll go in and we'll process the crime scene, gathering blood samples and interviewing people. The same things that police officers do out on the streets.
Whenever we go out on alarm, we grab a crash bag. It has numerous different things that we use to collect evidence. Cards that we write the type of incidents, the subject, distilled water and swabs for collecting blood, evidence bags that you put clothing, weapons, to keep the chain of evidence and the chain of custody to make sure all of our stuff is good when it goes to court.
Often the crime is captured on one of the squad's high-tech surveillance cameras.
And head out to the yard. Usually somebody will stay in here and try to get the camera on the incident before they go, and as soon as they get it on the incident, they'll zoom in.
With a violent crime rate that rivals any large city, Pelican Bay's security squad patrols one of the most active and dangerous police beats anywhere.
We're dealing with bad people. Some of them that really don't have anything to lose. They're doing life without anyway.
Inmates exiled to Pelican Bay have proven to be a danger not just to society, but to the prison system itself.
These inmates actually are guilty of committing felony crimes throughout the prison system.
Life inside California penitentiaries is dominated by violent prison gangs.
They pretty much try to coordinate what happens throughout the prison system.
In order to combat these powerful prison gangs, the California Department of Corrections decided to isolate all of the gang leaders in one location, Pelican Bay, isolating them from the rest of the California penal system. Lieutenant Robert Marquez is the squad's institutional gang investigator.
Pelican Bay was specifically designed to house inmates that have been validated as prison gang members and associates, and those who were unable to function or program out on the general population yards of the rest of the prisons in the state of California. The Aryan Brotherhood with Nazi lowriders, the Mexican Mafia, the Nuestra Familia, the Northern Structure or Nuestra Raza, the Texas Syndicate, the Black Guerrilla family, and into Tehachapi now, with the idea of isolating them and getting them away from the general population.
Escorts coming around.
The inmates call it the Hole. This is the security housing unit at Pelican Bay, or the SHU. Here, security is even tighter than in the rest of the prison. Every time a prisoner is taken out of his cell, he must be escorted by 2 correctional officers. Some 1,300 inmates have been confined to the SHU for either committing a crime in prison or being validated as a member of a prison gang.
In our security housing unit, we have 400 plus validated gang members.
The department has a very defined set of criteria that we look at and that we use in order to validate somebody as an associate or an affiliate or a member of a prison gang. For instance, all of the prison gangs have a specific tattoo. The Mexican Mafia has the black hand, or the word EME or ME. The NF has the letters NF, or a sombrero with a knife with blood dripping through it.
In the SHU, inmates spend 22.5 hours a day in their cells. All movement and communication is strictly monitored and controlled. Though not officially validated as gang members, many of the mainline or general population inmates serve as the foot soldiers of the gang leadership in the SHU.
The inmates that are on the yards are in one way or another related to those gangsters.
Outside, you have what we call disruptive groups, like the Crips or the Bloods, street gangs, or groups such as the Sureños, which fall under the direction of the Mexican Mafia. Also, in that category, you'd have like Skinheads and Peckerwoods, which are white gangs, which would take their direction from the Nazi lowriders and the Aryan Brotherhood.
Despite the isolation of gang leadership in the SHU, the gangs do everything they can to stay in business.
We've put these guys here, and they found ways to communicate outside of these units.
In spite of all the efforts to break them up, the gangs still find ways to stay organized.
They set up what's called a mesa, or a table, of individuals that are responsible for the yards here. That mesa or table will communicate with the Mafia members back in SHU.
One of the biggest dangers within the prison walls is the inmates' ability to manufacture and carry weapons.
Your white gangs and your Hispanic gangs, they prefer the metal. If they can get their hands on metal, they're going to use metal. We've known they like thick metal. The plastic weapons are made by our black inmates. They use what they have in their cell. The slicers and the razor blades are northern Hispanic inmates. They love those little things because they can conceal them so easily. And these guys, they're pretty calculating in what they do out there. They're pretty organized. It's like the military. You have your intelligence, you have your weapons people, you have your generals, you have
sergeants, enforcers.
Yeah, they're real structured.
With the Mexican Mafia and the disruptive group, the Sureños, they have a very defined set of rules. They have a structured exercise program.
So we got a lot of predatory territorial inmates in the same area. They're going to be watching out for themselves, and that's how they do it. I mean, we do it. That's how we're set up. We have a structure system. I'm a sergeant, he's an officer. He works with me. I work with the lieutenant. I report to the lieutenant to the captain, on up the chain.
From their isolation in the SHU, gang leaders control the drug trade in the general population yards.
There's one individual from the prison gang that's responsible for each of the general population yards throughout the state and relay certain messages, and they give intelligence reports.
While the gangs are gathering intelligence on their rivals, the squad is busy gathering intelligence on them.
It's in the classroom.
You're just walking through, or what?
I have permission to be on a computer to...
What do you do now?
My file.
You're out there with inmates every day. You're not becoming friends with them, but you got to get to know them. It's like working in a hotel. You got to kind of know your clients, who's checking in and who's checking out.
I want to go clean my house up, see what all y'all took.
Well, we didn't take nothing from you.
Oh, you didn't?
We're screening the mail. We're looking at that. We monitor phone calls. We monitor visits. We see if these inmates are developing any patterns that we can pick up on and follow through on our investigation. Sometimes we have confidential informants relay information to us that, hey, on such and such a date, you should be expecting a package coming in that has narcotics in it.
One of the squad's major goals is to prevent gang leaders in the SHU from ordering hits on prisoners within Pelican Bay's general population.
They give an intelligence report to the guys in SHU. So if a guy ends up on this general population yard and he's in some kind of bad standing, the guy back there in SHU will get the word back out here, hey, I want that guy attacked. I want him assaulted. We need to take care of business.
For prison gangs throughout the state, Pelican Bay has become an intelligence hub, with gang leaders ordering hits not just in prison, but on the streets.
What the prison gangs do is through fear and intimidation, through murder, through assaults, not only on the individual, but they've gone as far as assaulting wives, parents, cause these street gang members to participate and do what they need to do on the streets.
Next, the squad polices Pelican Bay's dangerous prison yards.
Line it up, fellas. We're going to search it. Come on. What is going on? Yeah, we got him.
Tomorrow, they had an exclusive membership with exclusive benefits.
Designer suits, expensive cars, Rolex watches.
A clubhouse where anything goes, even murder.
He escalated to the point of total destruction.
Daddy's money got them in, but Daddy's money couldn't get them out.
Pointing the finger saying, you were a murderer.
The fall of the Billionaire Boys Club.
This was the moment we'd all been waiting for.
On Dominic Dunn's Power, Privilege, and Justice. Tomorrow at 10, only on Court TV.
I want the Goodyears you have on sale, and free mounting. And I want a free rotation anytime and a Die Hard battery free.
Sure.
Cool.
Now at Sears Auto Center, buy 4 Goodyear tires and get a free Die Hard battery. America's #1 tire store, Sears. Where else?
The best new drama of the summer is on Bravo. Breaking news.
There is no place for sentimentality here. You know that.
Common decency. Is that allowed in the newsroom?
Go behind the headlines.
They can fire me if they want to. I'm not going to ruin lives for ratings.
Breaking News is a stunningly good series, says the LA Times.
We have a chance to do something really good for the world here.
There's the truth, and there's the news. Bravo's new dramatic series, Breaking News, premieres Wednesday at 8, only on Bravo.
Got back pain? All right, here's what you do. Make a beeline for the pain reliever aisle. And grab the powerful pain reliever that gives you 8 hours of heat to relax your tight muscles. Yeah! Thermacare heat wraps for back, neck, and menstrual pain.
What's the matter, baby?
Our customers expect a website that delivers instant results, like Progressive.com, where you can get a low rate on car insurance and buy instantly.
We invented buying car insurance on the web. No one does it better.
Zip through, get stuff done, move on. Our site is so fast and friendly, it's been rated #1 6 times in a row. Shop Progressive first. You could save hundreds. Not what you'd expect from an insurance company.
The first duty of the day for Pelican Bay's security squad is to walk the fences.
Our number one priority would be the security of the institution, to ensure that all inmates that are in prison stay in prison, they don't escape.
The 275 acres are surrounded by electrified fence. Its lethal voltage has never been tested by an inmate. There has never been an escape from Pelican Bay's maximum security. Fence check is followed by the morning briefing.
The squad, of course, is very cognizant of when you're collecting evidence to make sure that using gloves, not getting fingerprints on the weapons, maintaining the integrity of any fingerprints. A lot of our convictions depend on us determining which inmates the weapons may belong to. The ME in particular is really good at housing a inmate serving life with a non-lifer. And that's causing us problems because when we find a weapon in the cell, the inmate that's doing life automatically claims possession of the weapon because he knows we're not going to prosecute a lifer. It's not worth the district attorney's time to do that.
We don't like to keep inmates locked down in their cells long because idle time is bad time. They get thinking about bad things and they act accordingly sometimes. So if we can get them out of your program, it's a good thing for everybody.
When the inmates are out in the yard, the squad keeps them under constant surveillance.
By watching the yard, you can actually identify certain inmates, the role they may play within a disruptive group. Maybe there's somebody that a lot of people come up and shakes their hand, which shows they have a lot of respect.
They go by AKAs a lot as monikers. They do that for security reasons because even though some of these guys think they're homeboys with each other, they're really not. Hispanic inmates, they'll use payaso, which means clown, nacho. Black gangs, they call each other C-Loke, C-Note, Stag. White guys, Woody, Caveman.
A general population yard has an anatomy of its own. Hispanics in one area, the Asians in one area, the blacks in one area. They're not there by chance. That's their territory that they've worked out on the yards amongst themselves. There's a purpose they're there. Nobody will go in their area. Nobody will sit on their tables. It would be a sign of disrespect if they did that.
Each ethnic group will post up as far as providing security. They're watching all the other inmates, and plus they're watching us to see what's going on.
Most of your violence does happen on the mainline yards, and that's been proven in the past history of the yards.
The squad patrols the yards looking for drugs and weapons, or perhaps that key piece of information that might solve or prevent a crime.
A lot of a little information leads to something big usually, and that's how we usually crack the cases, and it works good. Our main thing is suspicious behavior. Anybody that looks like they don't want us looking at them, we're going to go search them. We're going to go over here and put these guys in the fence. Come on, give us a hand. Things are good. Things are real good. Sun's out. Everything's beautiful. Line it up, fellas. We're going to search it. Come on. Doing some basketball. You ought to try to hook up a game with 8 yards, man. What is going on? Another thing that's really important to look for on a yard is an inmate that's being isolated. If an inmate's isolated by himself, he may be in trouble with the other inmates. He's out there walking alone by himself. It's an indicator. You need to look for that. You need to watch that guy. You need to watch for groups of 2 or 3. If you got a lot of inmates walking around a yard in groups of 2 to 3, and there's a whole bunch of those groups walking around these yards, that's something else to be concerned about, to watch for. They're setting themselves up, usually, not always, setting themselves up for an attack on somebody.
The yards at Pelican Bay have gained the reputation of killing fields, the place where orders issued by a gang leadership are executed.
Sometimes they don't want to hurt them that bad. You know, sometimes they just want to, what they call, check them. You know, put them in check. They just want to maybe just hit them a little bit, you know, scar them maybe.
When it comes to the prison gangs, they have a terminology. One's called soft candy and one's called hard candy. If you're targeted for assault and you're soft candy, that usually means 1 or 2, maybe a few more of the guys associated or affiliated with that gang will beat up the victim. Beat him up pretty severely to send a message, and that would be considered soft candy. A hard candy assault, another term for that would be being in the hat. They're going to kill you. And the first opportunity they get to, they're going to kill you.
If a certain ethnic group's going to clean house, as far as stabbing one of their own, they'll tell the other ethnics, hey, we're going to handle some business today. Keep your people out of the way.
I've seen guys actually get stabbed, take the weapon away and stab the guy back and stab them. And they're fighters too. I mean, just because they're a victim doesn't mean they aren't a fighter. You guys are tough. They're straight tough. They've learned to survive. They have the instinct to survive. I've seen inmates survive multiple stab wounds that would just, you would think would kill the average person. And they just sit there, let the MTA check them out. Don't say a word. They're tough.
Out in the yards, The inmates are constantly watched by the tower guards and members of the squad. They are always on the lookout for a conflict that might escalate into an all-out prison riot.
As you can see, the staff are all gathering around. They're keeping an eye. There's guys in the peripheral of the inmates, and there's officers up in the areas where they're going to be walking through and patting them down. You got all the armed post guns standing at the windows right now looking out. You got an armed position up here. It's the central tower. Observation post, and he's watching real close right now.
The tower gunner stands ready with CN gas, or if necessary, lethal force.
I spent 5 years on the guns in armed positions watching yards, and I know one thing, that everything's going good, and all of a sudden you look up and the inmates took off for some reason. They don't take off ever unless something's going to happen.
Here on the yard, it's just a lot of noise, a lot of conversation going on, and they're looking at us, and it goes real quiet, and when it happens, it's like, okay, there it goes.
When violence breaks out, it's the duty of the officers to intervene and save the inmates' lives.
Whenever you enter one of those gates and you see that you have 100 to 200 inmates involved, and the first thing that's running through your mind is you're thinking, how in the world are we going to get this thing under control?
You don't know what you're really running into, if it's just a fist fight, if there's weapons involved, are they setting us up to get us to run out in their area so they can attack us? This all goes through your head as you're running towards the incident.
The squad must identify the perpetrators and instigators while stopping the violence. This officer was severely injured by an attacking inmate.
You always have to be aware of your surroundings, because the first opportunity they get, they're gonna attack.
I'm not going to say a little bit of fear hasn't gripped me, because there has been those times, but we've always been able to get through it.
We'll just go through in a systematic way, line up, go through, get them down on the ground, cuff them up, and get them out of there.
While the officers work to control the incident, they rely on the gunners to watch their backs.
The number one priority of any gunner, of any armed position, in any prison, anywhere in the United States or anywhere in the world, is to make sure they know where their staff members are. We don't want staff getting attacked and we're not watching it. We want to catch it before it happens.
So I'm concerned about the situation, whether an inmate is stabbing another inmate. But I got to be honest with you, I'm watching the other cops back at the same time, probably even more so, just to make sure that each and every one of us who are in green go home at the end of the day.
Once the inmates are down and cuffed, the yard becomes a crime scene.
We process evidence, take photographs, complete reports, report to our supervisors.